What's poppin'? Welcome to this week's edition of Rumble House Sports. Baby, I'm your host, Jay.
And this is Chris.
And this your boy, Redman.
Hey, man, we got a lot of stuff to get into, mainly the fact that WWE went into the fact that they're going to be adding an extra 30 minutes next Friday, and they'll be going head-to-head with AEW. Now, people have been saying, or Vince McMahon out of his mouth have been saying that AEW is no competition. They don't see them as a threat. But this further proves that AEW is, in fact, a threat. Ain't that right, Redman?
Yeah, absolutely, they're a threat. But Vince McMahon can say all he wants to say about this not being, or AEW not being competition, all he wants to. That ain't nothing but a political, strategic move whenever he says that. You know, it ain't nothing but him trying to diminish the competition, by putting it out there. If they're not competition, then, it'll get back, they'll see it. And, we know how that goes. It's a political, strategic move, but this is without a doubt him basically acknowledging that, they are competition. He sees it. Why do you think the next upcoming pay-per-view that we have coming up, Crown Jewel, the card is stacked.
The card is pretty stacked.
Yeah, that's the reason, because he knows that he has to start putting on his best matches from night in and night out.
If Crown Jewel doesn't have no jewels or no crown outside of what we see on the pay-per-view, y'all need to do better at naming these things. Hey, Chris, man, what you think? Is this does this definitely show that AEW is a legit competition to WWE?
AEW is a legit competitor against AEW. They just are,
I know AEW is legit to WWE. You say AEW is legit to AEW. You telling me that their only competition is themselves?
Oh, I said AEW. I said AEW to AEW. Okay, my bad. Yeah, AEW is a legit contender to WWE. Obviously, the conversation started whenever AEW started getting WWE's former talent. But I personally think that Vince McMahon is not worried about it. I don't think he's concerned about it. I think that he knows that he will always be the A brand when it comes to professional wrestling. I don't think he's concerned. They put in the work. They have you have what, like 40 years? Like what you got? You got like 40 years?
I think it might be 50 or coming up on 50.
You got like 50 years of work in the making. You know what I'm saying? For another brand to come and climb that mountain is hard. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I don't think he's concerned. WWE is solidified. And unless they just go completely left field, I don't think AEW is taking that crown.
I'm glad you brought.
The competition is there. I just don't think Vince McMahon is really concerned about it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Literally giving an extra hour so you can go head, or an extra 30 minutes so you can go head to head with AEW, and Tony Khan definitely thinks that AEW is going to pull this off. Obviously, because he's the president of the brand, this is what he's going to think. But he thinks AEW is going to do that. Also, we see WWE obviously grasping for straws, as it's been announced that they are going to allow more profanity in both Raw and NXT. Now, according to Vince McMahon, they can't allow that to happen on SmackDown because Fox has certain standards that won't allow SmackDown to go that far. And Kenny Omega says, hey, look, they're obviously desperate. Do you agree with this, Chris? I get you said that they don't look at them as legit competition, but now they're going to be able to utilize more profanity. And, this is something that they were not doing until AEW really started doing this.
Hey, it's okay. Yeah. So that argument can be made that, they was probably looking at deal from that standpoint and saying like, there's something more attitude era about this than what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So an argument can be made that, that's probably why they're allowing more cuss words to fly at this point on the Raw. But Yeah, I mean, they're probably going through a trial stage to see how the people will accept it. But you got to understand, the WWE is majority for kids these days. So, do I think that they need to? I necessarily don't think that they need to. Maybe they're trying to bring back an older audience. Try to get their older audience back. I don't really know, but yeah, that's just kind of my take on that.
I mean, Redman, like I said, Kenny Omega says that they in fact look desperate because they are going to these lengths. Do you in fact agree with that in regards to them allowing more profanity on their shows? I mean, it's obvious. It's really obvious. Chris gonna say what he said, but it's obvious, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say desperate. Desperate isn't the word that I would necessarily say, because Chris does have a point from the standpoint of, it is WWE. I mean, they are the mountaintop when it comes to the professional wrestling business. So with that being said, I wouldn't necessarily say desperate. I would still put WWE ahead of AEW at this current moment. But as we said or stated at the beginning of the, topic, it's definitely WWE acknowledging that, they definitely have to change their product to some degree, because they realize that what AEW is doing, WWE fans, that's what they're wanting at the moment, is the type of product that AEW seems to be giving the or wrestling, I should say, pro wrestling universe at the moment. I mean, you see it, like you said, with them trying to add a little bit more profanity. NXT apparently has been revamped just to give more of an edgier product, to see how that would then translate to the main roster of both SmackDown, Raw, to see if it goes over. So they're definitely they are definitely already planning the season. Then longtime referee Mike Chioda, he did an interview recently.
I love Mike Chioda, man.
Yeah, man, Mike. He did an interview recently, and he stated that he feels like, of course, his personal opinion, but somebody that's been in the business, for, over 30 years, been around Vince McMahon, he stated that he feels like that Vince McMahon is absolutely, concerned or, worried about, AEW, or at least he's looking at them at the side of his eye, because Vince McMahon always has wanted to be the number one professional wrestling company. So you see this other startup company in just 2 years already making headways. I mean, if you Vince McMahon, you can't look at that other company and not think to yourself, oh man, what's going on over here now all of a sudden? You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. I totally do agree with that. Now, I will say this: AEW is not putting WWE out of business. That's not what's going to happen. But I think that they are going to split fan bases. I think that, like we always say, the older crowd are going to, or that demo that they're fighting for, the 18 to 49 demographic, they're the ones that are going to watch AEW because it brings them back to a time of excitement, right? But on the same token, the A brand or the A wrestling promotion will, in fact, I believe, always be WWE. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Now, staying on that AEW topic, they're actually moving AEW Dynamite over to TBS, and they've recently unveiled a new TBS championship. My concern is TBS, while the same network as TNT, it's the Turner Broadcasting Station, and we know TNT is the Turner Network, right? TBS is more their family-friendly side. So do we look at this like AEW is now wanting to become, at least have one product that's more family friendly? Will this in fact affect their edginess? What we thinking, Redman?
I don't think it will. The only thing that I think it could possibly affect is the overall viewership in which they draw in, because obviously, as we know, TNT I just feel like naturally more people are prone to stumble across TNT as opposed to TBS. That's the only thing.
I can agree with that. TBS
that's my biggest concern with the move. Is just it could possibly affect their overall viewership with the move from TNT to TBS. But as far as their overall edginess, I don't believe so, because as you stated yourself, it's owned by the same network. So I believe that they should still be able to get the same type of leeway that they, are getting on TNT.
But to be fair, like Fox, when SmackDown airs on Fox, he said that he cannot use profanity, talking about Vince McMahon. However, them being aired on FS1, it seems like the couple times that they'll have a bit more leeway for whatever reason. But Chris, we talked about this over the phone. TBS is a bit more family friendly. When we talk about the shows that we used to watch on TBS, you think about Tyler Perry's House of Pain. You think about The Big Bang Theory. You think about, if I'm not mistaken, Are We There Yet was on there as well. It's a bit more family friendly focus, isn't it, Chris?
I think TBS definitely is a bit more family friendly. The TNT is definitely more edgier. Maybe there actually is. I might have to disagree with Red. Maybe there actually is more viewership with TBS. Maybe if you get more of a family audience, maybe they're trying to target a more family audience. And maybe that makes the overall product worth more. Listen, whenever you can appeal to, and I think it's kind of ironic, the irony that we said that they're more edgier than WWE, but yet they're going over to TBS. But if you could get, but if you could get more people to watch it, more of a family audience to watch it, all that does is just make sales go up to the moon. So maybe they're thinking of it as a benefit, as something that they'll see on the back end to come full swing, to be greater on the back end whenever you appeal it to more of a family audience. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I think definitely it's going to have to be dumbed down. No way that they're able to give the same type of product on both of those channels. Like I said, as we see it with WWE, they're not even able to give the same product out of Vince McMahon's mouth. And he said SmackDown isn't the one with the standards. He said Fox is. So out of Vince McMahon's mouth, they're not even able to give the same product when we talk about those separate, stations.
Well, I explained, I remember we had a conversation one time, and I explained that to you. That was the same issue that they had, back in the Wrestling Wars back in the 90s. With WCW, excuse me. That was the biggest difference maker with WCW being aired on Turner Sports, and obviously WWE being on USA, was because although obviously Vince McMahon has full control over all things that basically gets done WWE, but when you talk about that, you still have to abide by, those and control over the network. The network pretty much still gets to decide what type of content that gets displayed on their network. You see what I'm saying? Yep. And so, those are the same type of parameters that, it seems like he's working with and now as well with Fox, obviously.
That's a fact. Yeah, that's totally a fact. So I guess we can only see what's going to happen in regards
that belt is trash, by the way.
The TBS belt. Yeah. Somebody said they need to redo the design because it looked like it spells holes, which it does. When you actually look at it, it does look like it say HOS.
It's stupid. I don't know why the network wants to brand itself on the title. To me, it just makes no sense. I've never seen that done. It's the AEW. It's an AEW champion. It's not a TBS champion. That's the network.
But they
That's the
already
host.
have a TNT championship that Sammy Guevara.
TNT sounds
has.
TNT sounds a little bit better, man.
It does.
I mean,
you can make
TNT,
that the Dynamite. It's the Dynamite championship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dynamite, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit better. But TBS,
Yeah.
like.